10K, baby. We did it. 10,000 subs, all thanks to you guys. So excited. We are both very happy to say it's been an amazing journey so far. So what we are gonna do, we do have a giveaway, which I will mention at the end of the video, but make sure you comment on this video for your chance to win a little package that we are giving away. So it's, yeah, pretty special. I'll announce kind of what's going on at the end of this, but make sure you get your comments in before our next video is released next week. That's when the deadline ends, and we will take all the names and put them into a hat, and someone is going to be lucky enough to win some pretty cool things. So we kind of thought it was fitting to do a episode on the Midnight Special because it's kind of where it all started. And, you know, we had you guys kind of subscribe. A lot of you guys kind of came on right at the beginning of the channel. A massive thank you to Carl for also, you know, really helping us kind of grow the channel too. And it was great that so many of you jumped on board right when we were kind of in the middle of building this thing. So it was really, really nice. And, you know, it just feels like it's a great achievement. And I think Ben and I are both very happy about it. So let's get right back into it, back to regular programming. On this episode, I want to get a little bit creative again. We do have a few more things. I'm just waiting on a couple pieces for the race car, or the Roadster, sorry. We're just a few front end things I need. I believe I've located the left-hand drive 32 steering wheel from a gentleman named Steve over in Canada, which was bizarre because it's a right-hand drive one. So hopefully that'll be able to come over. I was able to find a left-hand drive bracket or right-hand drive bracket for the pedal assembly for a 32, which is great. So hopefully I can kind of modify a few pedals I have in order to make that work. I'd love to find a pair of 32 perches if anyone has a set out there, maybe something local in Australia. Yeah, it'd be great to have a set. I'm just running a set of Model A ones, but I do want those little dog bones off the side in order to run my shocks. So yeah, and then next week we'll be creating something really cool for this. I've just done an entire stainless exhaust system for it, and I'll show you a lot more about that, but we have to build a couple things for it, so I'll kind of take you along the way. And so in this one, we're just gonna, I need to get this done. I've had the transmission out for way too long. I got a side shift box. That's gonna be another video as well. And I'm just gonna explain how you can kind of intermingle everything. May even do a little modification for the 3-inch fork, which a lot of you guys may know about or don't know. So, but on this, what I wanna do is get this fixed. So I have an idea of how I'm going to mount the wind deflector that we've just finished, as well as we need to do something in here. Unfortunately, this piece is so cool with the kind of clover style laser cut stainless that I had done from a mate up in Perth. But unfortunately, this is only about 30%, what do you call it, 30% like open area. There's a word for it, I can't think of it. So there's only 30% of air that's actually able to get through here. And with that radiator that I had designed and made, you know, it's quite a small radiator. It does work, but it would, you know, obviously love to have a little bit more airflow coming through to it. So I'm pretty sure if I were to put a new grill in, that will allow a lot more air, and as well as design a shroud for the other side, then we'll have a ton more airflow coming through that radiator, which should you know, keep the motor quite cool, or cooler than what it's getting to now. So what I'm going to do, we're going to pull the hood sides off. I'm going to pull this grill off. We're going to get it up on the table, And I'm going to show you my idea that I have for it, trying to keep it kind of that, you know, complementing still that 1930s era. So yeah, I think it'd be pretty neat. May even have to make like a little form buck that we can use in the press to make something. So let's get into it. Okay, so we have it off, and then you can kind of see the inside, how I've done it. So it's just one piece. I'll put it through the English wheel. I had to shrink kind of the sides because there is still a fair amount of kind of curve, you know, in this top section, and as well in this bottom area too. So now I need to get this out, and then we're going to try and figure out an idea or a plan of how we are going to create a new one. Right, there we go. So this is kind of what we're using beforehand. So you can see it's got quite a bit of curve through here, and then as well as at the bottom, we got a little hole for where the crank hole would have been from. So now we'll probably just hang this up on the wall with the other Midnight Special shrinery of pieces that was trial and error or ones we used or took off. So now we have this to work with, and we can kind of work around sort of a shape that we're going to come up with and see what we can do. So what I actually have is a bit of this. So this is what I have. It's 6 mil by 25 mil aluminum flat bar, long piece of it. Now what I'm thinking is doing these on edge throughout here. So I'm just kind of playing with a few different ideas. I'd mentioned that flat bar and kind of running like flat bar on edge. Unfortunately, when I cut those original grills out of this Anglia, or the vertical kind of teeth out of this Anglia grill, hindsight probably should have just welded them all together and made it look really nice. It would have looked really cool, and I could have done like a nice beading around there, you know, kind of 2 little aluminum or stainless rings, even do one out of steel and got it nickel plated. But I have like some stainless rod, and I was kind of playing with an idea of, you know, doing a bunch of pieces of those across here, or I was also thinking about potentially doing louvers, but that's not going to help our situation with airflow. We're actually probably going to eliminate a fair bit, but it would look really cool, even just having, you know, a couple louvers down there matching, tying in the kind of the front to the top of the hood. Maybe too much. So I'm just digging around, went over next door to Liam's, and he's got a bit of this privacy screen that he uses for between balustrades and stuff like that. This is pretty cool. It looks like it's 2.5 mil aluminum, and it's powder coated black. I've just sanded it with 180 just to kind of get a better idea of what it would look like. And I can kind of stick this up in there. Kind of gives it like a honeycomb look. Maybe polished, it would look quite neat. Maybe it's a bit too new looking. I don't know. I'm not opposed to the idea. I think it would look kind of cool, especially if I polished it and shaped it. It's got a lot of rigidity, so I could kind of stick it in there and it wouldn't go anywhere. I'm kind of leaning towards this. I think that's just like, it's just real subtle. Like just a simple piece of that, sanded and polished, would probably look okay. This stuff, easy to form. I was even thinking like,
Polish better than this.
This would polish good, and I could even do like a bead roll around and almost have it like kind of pop out on both sides.
Pop in or pop out?
Like do a step, maybe even pop in or pop out.
In.
Yeah, either or. Would look cool, eh?
I reckon that over that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
This is a bit new.
Yeah, yeah. There you have it. We've decided. Sometimes it's nice to have two inputs. Now I need to convince Liam to sell me a piece of that. So we've decided to use this stainless, I think it's 0.95 or maybe, no, it's definitely 0.95. Perforated steel. I'm kind of hoping after I polish it, I did just do a little tiny piece I had, and where it's polished does look quite nice. I'm just thinking this may still kind of fit the era. And yeah, I think the aluminum on the other one was just a little bit too large, but I love the look of this clover, and I think this probably suits the car a lot more. I just don't think I'm getting enough airflow through it. So I'm gonna keep it though, because I may build this and then, you know, decide, hey, I don't like it, which is totally fine. What I'm gonna do right now is just tape a couple pieces of this paper together. I'm gonna make a kind of a more accurate template and stick it in behind here, and yeah, try and, is that enough? Yep. Put another piece on it. Yeah, this way I can kind of stick this in behind. I'll make a little template. And then I may even, just thinking about maybe putting like a little step with the bead roller, or like, you know, maybe making a little press and pressing 2 indentations in the grill. Maybe that'd look kind of cool. Something a little different, or maybe that's adding too much. Maybe it should just be simple. So just gonna lay this guy down. I think the aluminum flat bar idea would still be like really cool, but it's yeah, it's a lot of work and I don't really have much of a flange anymore because I kind of cut it all off. So not saying it's not possible, definitely could have done it. And this is just mainly kind of giving me a gauge on where everything sits. I'd really like to keep the crank hole like open. I think it just looks kind of neat. But the beauty about this is it is still, you know, there's not a lot of complicated pieces about it other than just trying to shape your piece that you want to obviously stick in here. But the beauty is if I don't like it, we can just, you know, I can trace the new piece onto another type of material, and we could make like several different ones. Like, why not? We have the means of being able to do it. So, you know, if we think it looks better, I'll probably add, you know, I'll just go around roughly and add that kind of maybe 25 mil, just so it has something to bite onto on the grill itself. So what I was explaining before is it would be kind of cool to almost like do a little panel in here, but have it stepped. So maybe the whole thing's shaped flat, but then it's got these two little pieces in it that are like a little bit, I don't know, stepped or maybe bubbled or indented or I don't know. I think I'm just gonna cut this out with a blade, and I can just lay it right on it. Put this in behind if we do want to trace those steps, and it'll kind of show where we're at. So I think what I'll try and do now is just kind of roughly do that sort of 25 mil edge around, just something that I can just so it's got a bit of support in behind the grill. Cool. So now what I might do is just go bang bang, cut a few of the corners, and then I can kind of just massage that with the grinder. Right, so we just trimmed it using the guillotine. I'm just going to run around and just kind of soften these edges up a little bit so they won't scratch us. Right, so now the edge, it's still obviously sharp, but we've just kind of rounded it to the contour that we want. So I know this is my top, that's my bottom, and what we can do is kind of get a bit of an idea of how we need to shape this. So I might be doing a little bit of English wheeling. This edge will probably need to be shrunk, same with the bottom, in order to fit in there really nicely. So we'll give it a little quick mock up. All right, so we now have our template that we've taken off of the grill. And our grill. So we definitely know that there is a lot of shape in both the bottom and the top bit of this, and kind of all ways. So I'm just gonna use a die. I'm gonna quickly wipe the oil off this. There's a fair bit on there. Oh, I didn't really want to take that line off yet, but that's okay. I'll just get this backside. Awesome. So now that we have this clean, we kind of need to go and run it through the English wheel. And we'll probably just try and get a little bit of curve into this. We could use the planishing hammer as well. And we're definitely gonna have to shrink this edge. So I'm not sure how this is gonna shrink. It'll probably collapse on itself a little bit. But I'll just hopefully try and be able to do it in the area just around the edge where we don't need it to. But if we just hold this in, you can definitely see how much shape needs to be put into it. So there's a fair amount that needs to be put in, especially up in that top corner area. trying to get it to really fit that contour. So I hopefully have enough material around the edge to kind of give this quite a bit of curve. So we are going to run over to the English wheel and we're going to roll this through. All right, so we got our piece in there. And what I'm going to do is just get it up. So we're making a bit of contact. We'll lock that off. And we can kind of start to I have the lower radius is a 12, which was originally in there from building the wind deflector. And that's kind of what we need. All right, so we got that little edge around the top that we do need to shrink. I have no idea if this is actually gonna work, but we'll give it a go. Have our area. Oh yeah, well, that moved a lot. I kind of assumed it would because it doesn't really have to pull a whole lot of material. So it's kind of hard to hold into place, but I might just have to kind of think just in the center. Just need one good shrink. Well, with a lot of wheeling, a little bit of shrinking around the edge, we've actually got a really good profile. I was able to actually kind of peak it in the center a little bit as well, which was nice. So it kind of follows this little center quite nicely. But if we pop it in there, and once we get a few screws in, but it really hugs that contour up at the top. We've kind of curved it as much as we can on the outside. We could probably actually just hit it with the English wheel one more time, just to add a little bit more stretching in this area. And yeah, there's a little dip right there I want to try and get rid of. So I'll go do one more pass and then we'll stick this in, mock it up, and then we can get it screwed in. I'll trace out where the crank handle is and we will cut that out. And then we will get this thing, I'll probably just try and polish it right off the bat, and then we can screw this in and see what it looks like.
We were made for each other to hold on to. I was carved out of redwood beneath your moon. I was birthed in the mountains under the sun. Something's changed, you can't see my face in the ground no more. Something's changed, you can't see my face in the crowd no more. We are living the dream together out here on the road, and our love takes center stage in every scene.
You can see the inside. So that's just one piece follows the contour once it's actually kind of bolted down. I could almost stretch these two bits just slightly. But when I flip this around, simple. It's got a lot of curve to it, which is really cool. So it kind of flows with the whole thing either way. This bit I can get in there a lot nicer as well. But I think I want to cut that. I kind of want to cut that crank handle out. I also do kind of wish it was set up more like that now after building it, but that's okay. Yep, you do not even see it. So crank handle, probably not even worth trying to get it out. I think that actually looks really nice. I think if I just try and polish that and we mount this, I think we're in business. All right, got polishing wheel ready. Using a little bit of green polishing compound. I'm gonna stick my mask, my gloves on, and we're gonna polish this puppy.
Shook my hand in the end and said, you ain't got me losing. What you gonna do about it? I'm gonna hit that bottle. It's on a donkey kong. Which troubles do you seek? A pure heart is the root of all weak. I bowed my head and hid my eyes, but he shook me out of my disguise and said, you ain't gonna lose me. What you gonna do about it? I'm gonna hit that bottle.
One thing we need to do is mount this wind deflector while we're doing the grill. So what I'm going to show you, I was going to use like aluminum rivets in order to mount this on, but a couple guys did make a couple good points. If we decide to keep this polished, it's going to be way easier to polish if we can remove it. So I decided to then try and thread the bottom of a couple of rivets that I had. So unfortunately these ones weren't aluminum, they were steel, but they're just like a little dome head style rivet, and then I tried to actually tap the end of it to see if it would work. Unfortunately it didn't grab that well, so I went down to the hardware store and I found some little flathead dome style stainless. I believe these are quarter inch, maybe. But yeah, they look relatively nice. A polished one, you can see the difference. You know, having the kind of the flat blade would still look really nice too. Kind of still matches that era. I really wish this would focus. So what I'm going to do is just lay out a few holes or a design for where I kind of want a few of those dome style screws, and then we can kind of go transfer it on, and we'll be able to stick those straight in. And honestly, I think those are just going to look awesome. Another thing is, I didn't have any more leather, but I wanted to put just a little piece of leather under here. So I had a crappy old belt at home. It's probably not even, it's definitely not real leather by any means, but I'm just going to cut a strip out of it temporarily until I get some. But this will just kind of add a little bit of, you know, a little piece between the aluminum itself and the top of the cowl, just so we don't scratch it up too much. So this is just allowing me to find my center of the flange. Now that I have that, I can measure in a certain amount. So I'm going to do the same 10 mil. So I'm trying to replicate the same width as the bottom ones on the bottom of the body. So I really want to make sure that they are indeed even. Right, so I just got that belt. It is kind of like a two-piece, and it actually does look like it is leather or probably pleather, but I'm going to split the seams. So what I'll end up doing is kind of running it the same width of the ruler, which will allow just a little bit on each end. So all I'm going to try to accomplish here is try to shape this leather, sort of. What I should do is actually glue this straight onto here, but for now, I'm just going to try and get it as close as I can.
Hello, how are you? I'm living on the moon. I'm calling from a telephone inside of
So the leather is a little bit moist, so it definitely makes it a lot easier to manipulate and kind of shape. And then what I'm hoping to do is just leave it, and it'll kind of dry in position with the natural curve, especially once it's once we bolt this down, it'll be kind of sandwiched between the cowl and the wind deflector, kind of allowing it to hopefully hold the shape.
to be found, except this clanging deep grip. Oh, I am such a fool, a man who wanted quiet attitude I once thought so sublime has changed my sense of what is real and what is in my mind.
And then I can use a little leather punch and quickly bang out these holes where this is going to sit. So there we have it. Got all my markings there.
I know that that's impossible. I tell myself each day.
Just use the linisher on the belt, rounded them off. I don't mind a little bit of fray. I think it kind of looks nice. You can also hit this with like, what do guys usually use? Like a piece of hardwood, and it kind of like polishes it. The edges, if you don't want them to kind of fray out too much, but I'm really happy with that. Okay, so now that we have this piece finished, we need to go mock this up, clamp it down, drill some holes, and then we can bolt this thing together. And then we need to polish the heads of those. Another tip too, a little piece of rubber hose or even heat shrink or anything you want to put on here so that when you're drilling down and you pass through and it goes in, you're not going to go all the way and the chuck will actually hit your material. I'm not doing that right now because I'm just going to go with it, but definitely a good tip. Tell you what, I'm very excited to drive this thing again. It's been sitting in here for quite a while with no transmission. Perfectly went over a couple scratches that I had. Not sure if I meant to do that, but it worked out really well. So let's give that a wipe. And then now we need to go over to the polisher and we need to polish all this hardware. All polished and hot. Ouch. These on now, and what I'm going to do is as we tighten these, I'm going to try and push this leather out slightly just to get a nice consistent edge all the way around it. So we're going to try and do that now. So we'll line you up. I'm going to push the leather kind of out, and then I'll be able to jump under and tighten it up. And I do really want to make sure that all the screw heads are all in the same direction. So they're just going to run in a line all the way around. But that does look pretty nice, just having that small little leather piece around the edge. This one I haven't done yet, but just a little add. Just want to make sure all these screw heads are the right way. Get rid of all my oily fingerprints. But that screen is now mounted. So like I mentioned before, it's got that nice little consistent edge with the leather under it. So at least it's got a backing between the wind deflector and the top of the cowl. In behind, you can see looks quite nice. I've left that stitch line from the leather belt, so it looks quite quite cool in there to kind of just see that little leather edge around. So we may even just leave this leather. I might not have to replace it, but if anyone has some nice brown kind of skinny leather, not much thinner than 3mm, let us know. Be kind of neat to put a real piece in there, but you know, that was like a $3 belt I think I found from Kmart, so worked to be able to cut it up, and we still have some latches to work with. So what I might do, just so we get the full effect, is I'll stick the steering wheel back on, and then we just need to go back onto the grill and figure out what we want to do with it. I think last night I was thinking about it, just always consistently thinking about this thing and how it's going to evolve. I'm not too sure I'm really happy with the insert that we used. Dad reckons it looks like 2 bug eyes, which it definitely does. But yeah, unsure whether or not I like it. I think that original idea of this mesh, I think if this was in there and this was polished, it may kind of come into play with all the holes we have in the front shocks and the rear, or the front axle as well. So I'm just thinking maybe like that in there might look a little bit better. I don't know. But what we need to do is kind of just get it all back together. I'll have a look at it. I'll let it sit for a little while. I did, however, while at the hardware store, get some little flat blade dome head screws to match the ones that we've done on the wind deflector. So these are going to replace these little Phillips screws. So I'll just sit on the buffer. I'll just polish these up again, and I'll pull this off, and I'll replace that hardware to make sure that it looks good. So I'll do that now, and then once we mount the grill back on, we'll stick the hood on, maybe roll this thing out, see what it's going to look like. So I got all the screws replaced, and now they're these kind of tiny little flat head stainless ones that I've polished. Yeah, they're a little bit tricky to see. Unfortunately, the GoPro never focuses properly, but they look a lot better. They're not as pronounced as the other Phillips head ones. They're very proud, and yeah, it kind of just looked a bit weird. So you can obviously see that you can still see through this. It's growing on me. I think I will end up making another one though, just to see, but yeah, you can kind of see it's gonna should let a fair bit more air through there. And we will slide this down and on.
to thinking places where you spend your time. Ain't no place I'd rather go. You're a funny little critter and I love you so, man. I wanna take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind. I come and sit down with me in a rocking chair. Coffee pot is nice and hot. We can sit in our underwear. Tell me about the dreams you had last week, swimming all around with the fish in the sea. Come and sit down with me in a rocking chair.
All right, so we got the grill mounted. New, yeah, kind of, it's different. I don't mind it. It's growing on me. Maybe, yeah, I'll give it a little bit, get it outside, see what it looks like with a bit of sun on it. Definitely gonna try and design a better way of mounting it, because as you could see, it takes me ages to get 6 bolts in there and the nuts on, and I'm just have no room. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of try and redesign that one day. Probably when we go to pull this motor out, or maybe when the future supercharger goes on it. We'll talk more about that one day. So we're just gonna throw this back on. I just kind of modified just these edges as well. And I actually just went up a size up on the holes just so it slides on. Before it was so tight that it was really, really hard to actually get it started. So now,
Baby looking up and we're looking down. We can wave to the people in my hometown now. Come on, baby, let's fly up to the moon. And I wanna take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind. Take me all around to thinking places where you spend your time. Ain't no place I'd rather go. You're a funny little critter and I love you so, man. Take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind. Yeah, I wanna take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind.
wow, that is so bright. I hate to be anyone racing against me. Definitely looks wild. I don't know, too much flash maybe? Losing the pipes? I don't know. I need to get the belly pan on and then really decide. I almost think this would look better painted. Yeah, just something like that. Just a simple one, bang bang. Maybe keep like the edge polished, like the bottom one or something, just to add a little bit, but maybe simplify it a bit more. Maybe once that belly pan's on, and then, you know, like maybe if this was all painted and the louvers were polished, then that wouldn't stand out so much. You get no shadows around there. That's very bright. Well, I'm happy with it. You know, it's still evolving. Kind of off camera, I just put the spoke of the wheel in the sandblaster and just painted it with a satin paint, make it look a little bit more cast. And then we just gave the wheel another quick coat in the nice oak stain. So that'll stay on there for now until we decide on what to do with the wheel, but I really like it. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's starting to really evolve. I do like the little bit of leather that you can see in there. I think those are close enough to kind of the rivet style that we were after, but without, you know, spending too much time having to try and thread an actual dome rivet and put it in there. These stainless ones have done a really nice job. It's obviously very secure and strong, which is cool. Still have room for those gauges in there. So unfortunately, I don't really have that nice of gauges to use. I have a set, but they're kind of for the Roadster. So if anyone has like a pair of temperature and oil pressure, preferably some early Stuart Warner ones or something that, you know, would kind of fit the era. Yeah, it'd be great to see what you got. Definitely happy to purchase, you know, something if you got a nice pair that we could utilize and stick in here or even underneath. And then I'll pull the one that's on the flathead off and I'll use that for the Roadster. So just to have a couple different ones. But, you know, with all this polish stuff, like I'm kind of looking at that seat going, I could make another seat, but maybe something a little bit more comfortable, something slightly that has a little bit higher of a back on it. Just to kind of maybe bring it into this area. We could kind of come up and down like that. This is all going to get changed with that leather. So I'm still really looking forward to putting that leather in, which I'm just going to grab a piece and show you again. This is kind of that green leather that we ripped off the sofa. It's got a lot of really nice kind of cracks and it's really worn in. Similar to, you know, I know this is really flash and shiny, but there's still a lot of bits that still have the character. You know, the wheel, the tank, the catch can, that's that old Quaker State oil tin, you know, just a few pieces that are still kind of original. So I think it looked quite nice. And what we're planning on doing is doing that again, kind of that single line tuck and roll along here. And we're only going to do it with like a single backing, so it's not like really exaggerated. But I would love to just line that right down to the floor, maybe still keeping this open slightly or closing it right in, kind of unsure. I know that scrutineering at Percolili and during the future races, they did kind of hum and haw that there was no sort of separation between the fuel tank and myself. So, you know, not a bad option.
Fuel tank blows.
If the fuel tank were to blow up, I'm still getting blown up.
You're just gonna get hot leather on your back.
Yeah, that's right. So probably just better to, you know, just have it off. Less stuff to scrape off my back. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're gonna do. Something similar to that, right around some really nice stainless snaps or kind of the early style ones that you can kind of click on and off. I just think that is just gonna finish off the cockpit of this thing. Still got to do a belly pan. Once the belly pan's done, I'll kind of just tidy up the interior a little bit, maybe work on the controls a little bit more. Set of front brakes still need to be done on this if we do plan on racing it at the around the houses. There's, like I've mentioned before, definitely a lot more consequence than up in Percolili with a bunch of bushes that you run into. So there's concrete walls and brick buildings there. So definitely don't want to put this thing anywhere near them. Maybe a wheel tire combo, different setup. I had mentioned that we do have those 17s and those 18s. So it'd be cool just to see, especially for gearing when racing it on pavement, would be a little bit better. But yeah, it's just evolving over and over. I think, you know, I kind of get these little ideas, want to try them out. If they look silly, it's all right. You can kind of just take it off, put it on the Shrinery of Midnight Special pieces that we never use. Yeah, and just for a few of you that were asking, we do have the Midnight Special tees back in stock in all of our sizes. So if you guys, you know, did really like that kind of Rex Burnett inspired t-shirt that we did of the breakdown of the Midnight Special itself, basically all those, you know, t-shirts that we sell, it makes it amazing to be able to put straight back into this to keep letting it create and evolve. So yeah, make sure you jump in. Link will be in the description, and just jump over to our store and we'll have the Midnight Special as well as our other stock tees. And we do have a new one coming out very soon, and I'm very excited to show you guys because it's quite fun. Really, really happy with it. Grille looks good. Hopefully it'll get a bit more airflow. Happy I've changed out the hardware from those Phillips ones and just put some nice stainless flathead ones in, just to kind of keep with the era. Next, the big thing is just getting that transmission done. So I will go through exactly how I'm doing that by using a side shift gearing and putting it in a top loader box. And I'll try and be as detailed as possible, giving you guys a lot of part numbers and a little bit more information on how to do it. once that's in, then we do have to make that shift relocation thing. So that'll be really fun. And I'll really get in detail with how I'm going to do that with some old clevises and stuff I have. So that'll be really cool. Yeah, and then we'll get it back together and get it running, get it driving. Because Bennett is here, my nephew, and he is absolutely car obsessed. Almost seems like he's more than me. And he is dying to go for a drive in this thing. So I really want to get it done, put his little race helmet on, and we'll just putt around the neighborhood and yeah, put a big smile on his face. So that'll be really exciting. And just so you guys remember, make sure you guys drop a comment below for your chance to win our 10K giveaway. That we will announce the winner on our next video. So you have a chance to comment, tag your friends, and basically the release of our next video is the deadline for those comments. So everyone that has them, we'll write them all down. We're gonna cut them up, put them in a hat, mix them around, and someone's gonna be a lucky winner of a massive swag of all of our shirts and some hats and a bunch of other little goodies. As well as we do have a nice little package from Heron Forbes from Machinery House. They were very happily willing to kind of put together a little package. So we got some pretty cool stuff, which we'll kind of show in our next video, what the winner is going to get. But yeah, just wanted again to say thank you so much for all of the support, all of the great feedback. You know, like it really is amazing to put these videos out and then, you know, to kind of sit down over a few days and just go through the comments. And like, I'm actually learning so much as well. I mean, every day we're doing this, but from you guys as well, a lot of those comments, a lot of links to certain things, lots of really good ideas. And that just helps us like immensely. Like there's been so many great ones lately. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much from Ben and I both. We are just, yeah, kind of didn't really envision this to kind of go the way it's going. And yeah, we're really happy that you guys are, you know, kind of enjoying the ride as we go. So I think this year is going to be really, really fun. Like I've mentioned a few times, we have some really special projects that I think will keep you guys very intrigued. And you know, it'll just be up from here. So we can only create something similar to this, and now we have a bar that we've set, and we gotta, you know, reach that bar and exceed it. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe, hit notifications, and we'll see you next week on another episode of Bennett's Customs. Thanks, guys.